Turning our attention now to the international newspapers, Diptyque Laurent is here with us for that. And Diptyque, this time we're going to start off with reactions from the European press to Boris Johnson's no-show at a press conference in Luxembourg.
That's right. He opted out of that press conference, citing security fears over a group of anti-Brexit protesters in Luxembourg. Yesterday, he was due to meet his counterpart, Xavier Bettel. In the end, Politico says he shied away from fewer than 100 protesters, and by not showing up, Bettel played to the gallery by mocking Johnson's absence and gesturing to his empty podium, pictures of which are really dominating the papers today. This behaviour from the Luxembourg leader sparked a lot of outrage from the conservative British tabloids. The Daily Telegraph accusing Luxembourg of laughing in Johnson's face and accusing him of ambushing Johnson, only to, quote, belittle him with an empty podium. That picture again on the front of the Daily Telegraph. It has sparked a lot of cheeky cartoons too. This one's from Patrick Blower. You see Jean-Claude Juncker, the EU Commission President, speaking to an empty bar stool reserved presumably for Boris Johnson, saying it's all about the optics, Monsieur Johnson.
A lot of things to read into that picture. But Diptyque, even yesterday you were seeing cartoons being made about this visit, and there's been more of these Incredible Hulk references in the papers today.
That's right, because Johnson actually infuriated EU officials by comparing himself to the Marvel comic hero, the Incredible Hulk, saying that, like the Hulk, Britain can break free from the constraints of the EU or something to that effect. Hence why Metro is going with this headline on its front page, Infantile Hulk, while you have the Times cartoonist who sees it not so much as the Incredible Hulk, but the Incredible Skulk there.
Moving on now, Diptyque, and there's new controversy involving the New York Times and the Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanagh.
That's right. This is a pretty complex story, but Vox has done a really good job of synthesizing it. What was meant to be new sexual misconduct allegations against Brett Kavanagh, the Supreme Court Justice, ended up being an embarrassing journalistic indictment on the New York Times itself. Two Times reporters on Saturday published an essay ahead of their forthcoming book describing a previously unreported story of sexual assault dating back to when Kavanagh was in college. Alleging also that the FBI knew about it and didn't investigate. The presentation of this story ended up overshadowing the allegations itself, because first the New York Times promoted the article by publishing an extremely offensive tweet, and then an editor's note a day later revealed that friends of the alleged victim say she doesn't remember the incident, and that the woman herself refused to corroborate the story. The Times was forced to walk back the story in the end. And on Monday, Donald Trump pounced on this to buttress his own claims that the media is biased against the government. So in the end, it did end up being a really embarrassing affair for the New York Times.
And what did the other papers in the region have to say about it?
Well, you have the Wall Street Journal triumphing in the New York Times' cock-up, saying it's good that, quote, folks are exposing the flimsiness of the latest allegations. The paper alleging that those who are making these charges, both now and because it's been a year since Kavanagh's initial allegations, all of the people bringing forward these allegations are not interested in the truth. Rather, they're, quote, smear merchants. The Washington Post is lamenting more the fact that the real story has just been buried now. They're deploring the fact that due to, quote, foreseeable, avoidable missteps, the Times transformed a newsworthy story on Kavanagh into a controversy about themselves.
Yeah, a frustrating one there. But the first ever Me2 Conference is beginning today in Iceland. Diptyque, found anything about that?
Yeah, hosted by the Icelandic Prime Minister, the conference is aiming to create a worldwide platform for talking about the Me2 movement, and also taking stock of the impact it's had in nearly 2 years of existence. It aims to look at how the movement could become more inclusive, for instance, for women with lower incomes and fewer resources to fight against sexual harassment. In Nordic countries, The Guardian explains, the Me2 movement has really had a huge impact, revealing systemic harassment in non-unionized jobs in Iceland, for instance, allowing it also to become an everyday conversation. The aim, according to Iceland, is to relegate harassment to history.
Okay. finally, from you, Diptyka, there's someone we haven't seen on our screens for a while. It's Sean Spicer, the former White House press secretary, is back on TV, this time making his debut in reality shows.
That's right. He swapped the suit for a neon green shirt, as you can see here. Sean Spicer, aka the controversial press secretary who falsely claimed boosted crowd numbers for Donald Trump's inauguration ceremony and railed against the fake news media, left his job after just 6 months. He made his appearance on the American version of Dancing with the Stars yesterday. Not sure if he quite qualifies for a star, but anyways, here in his first performance, he danced his way to Spice Up Your Life by the Spice Girls, complete with, as I said, a neon green shirt. In a performance that was not entirely a miss, but and was even called strangely entertaining by some. But he has been sent up mercilessly on Twitter. This user noting that he looks a lot like the car dealership inflatable guy there.
Okay, Diptyka, thanks a lot for that wrap-up of the international papers.